This is Fruit Salad Social, and in this episode, we're going to the Australia Zoo. Yes, it's true, folks. I got to live out my childhood dream.
Taking the eggs away from a cranky mother alligator. Join me at my home for the fun, the danger, and the real-life drama behind the scenes at Australia Zoo.
If you were anything like me, a late 90s, 2000s kid from America, you grew up watching one man conquer American television while exploring the Australian wilderness. Steve Irwin is my actual hero. Not only did his shows inspire me to explore the world around me as a kid, but they also gave me immense respect for wildlife. I also felt a certain connection to Steve Irwin because he was in some seriously remote parts of Australia where nature was easy to find, and I grew up in Colorado where nature was never too far away. While Steve Irwin did love to get up close and personal with wildlife, I actually think the show gave me a sense to not mess with wildlife. I wouldn't be caught dead being one of those people trying to pet a bison in Yellowstone National Park or take selfies with elk in Rocky Mountain National Park. Those are the people who need to watch more of the Crocodile Hunter. I watched that show and was like, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna let a trained professional go near wildlife instead of doing it myself. That does not seem like a do-it-yourself kind of project. I might also be able to blame Mr. Irwin for my love of Australia and why I ended up in a relationship with an Aussie myself. So when I went down under to meet my Aussie's family, of course I was dying to go to the Australia Zoo with them. First things first, a few facts about the Australia Zoo and how you can go visit too. I was in Brisbane in Queensland when I visited the zoo, and it is absolutely a doable day trip from Brisbane if you have a car. The actual drive to the zoo is very scenic, and you get to see the Glasshouse Mountains along the way. My boyfriend's parents mentioned that you can actually see wild koalas along the highway in the trees. So you know my eyes were glued to the windows scanning the treetops like the absolute tourist I am. I love koalas, and this might be a bit of foreshadowing for later in the video, but all of my koala dreams came true the day I went to the zoo. One thing I really loved was going down the Steve Irwin Memorial Highway because they literally renamed the road that leads to the zoo after him. Now, to get into the zoo, it costs around 75 Australian dollars with fees and taxes included. That's around 50 US dollars at the time of filming. This exchange does fluctuate some, so just be aware. I bought my ticket at the front gate. The zoo is still owned by Terry Irwin, who was also a major female role model of mine as a kid. Right away when you go into the zoo, it feels like the Irwin family is still very involved. You get the impression that the zoo is smaller but super well run. It's very much a labor of love from the Irwin family. After we got our tickets, we picked up the zoo map and started exploring. I recommend getting a map right away because it has all of the show times on it, and the shows are really what makes this a special zoo. We had a bit of time before the first show we wanted to see started, so we began by exploring some of the exhibits around the front of the zoo. One of the cutest animals we saw the entire day were the little otters that are up front. They were super playful and they would make this calling cry sound that was so cute. I'm sure they were begging for food. I think it was around mealtime, but oh my god, I will never forget these cute little things. Now, it's time for the most comedic thing I saw the entire day. We went over to the American Alligator exhibit. And, you know, at first I'm like, yeah, those are alligators. Alligators are scary. They kind of terrorize Floridians, I think. Just wait till later in this video and you will see why I think the American alligators are funny. One show at the Crocoseum will make you think American alligators are child's play. After looking at the alligators, we started to make our way back towards the morning tiger show, wandering through the purple section of this map. First, I got to see a wombat and not go viral for picking it up like other American tourists. I don't think I've ever actually seen a wombat before this. He was super cute and I was happy to not pick him up. And then, for truly the highlight of my day, we went through the koala exhibit. And I do mean went through. Here's something actually amazing about the Australia Zoo. You're essentially walking through the enclosures for a lot of these exhibits. For one, this gives the animals a lot of freedom to roam, and for two, there's staff everywhere making sure both the animals and visitors are safe. When we got to the koalas, I saw a small line forming and realized they were letting visitors safely pet a koala. To say the least, I was excited.
Give her a nice and gentle pat on her bum. There's a pretty good reason behind it. So these guys lose nerve endings as it gets lower down their back. It helps them sit on their bum all day without it getting pins and needles, without it getting numb, without it getting sore. So pat down there.
Again, they are very aware of animal safety at the zoo, and you get to do a light little pet. They are not passing koalas around or stressing them out a ton. The zoo also does a lot of work to rescue injured koalas that could not survive in the wild. This really was the single coolest thing I have ever gotten to do at a zoo. I will remember this moment for the rest of my life. Because I spent so much time petting my favorite Aussie animal, we actually were a little late to the tiger show. It was an awesome show, but we were in the very back. I loved how much emphasis the zoo put on enrichment for predator animals. Again, the shows are really one of the things that makes this zoo so special. They really keep the spirit of Steve Irwin alive by educating visitors while also entertaining them. We then backtracked a bit and walked over to the kangaroo walkthrough near the koalas. Take a wild guess what you can do here. Yep, you can pet a kangaroo or just hang out with them for hours. In the US, kangaroos are thought of as this exotic animal like nothing else. In Australia, they're kind of like the equivalent of prairie dogs or bunnies. They're actually seen as a bit of a nuisance at times. I was losing my mind getting to pet one, but I don't think they had the same wow factor with the locals. After petting a little roo, we started to make our way back to the most iconic part of the Australia Zoo, the Crocoseum. I was so excited to see this show. Every American kid who ever watched Animal Planet knew what the Crocoseum was. This is where Steve Irwin used to show just how incredible saltwater crocodiles are.
Here he is. He's angry. Here's the water. Here. Come here, mate. Bamboo pole. Just gotta flick the ropes off now.
They start the show out with a lovely tribute to Steve and make everyone say crikey. Then they do some pretty cool tropical bird displays, which are awesome, but we all know what the stadium is named after, alright? It's not the Birdoseum. Let me speak to my American viewers right now. Absolutely nothing will prepare you for when a saltwater crocodile first comes into the Crocoseum. We have all heard that Australian wildlife is insane and out to kill you. Then an actual freaking dinosaur will slither into the arena. Some of these animals are 23 feet long and weigh 2,900 pounds. American alligators are only 11 feet long and weigh 790 pounds. That's why the American Alligator exhibit will make you chuckle here. These animals are absolute peak predators. The show really exhibits their physical prowess, but most importantly, in the spirit of Steve Irwin, explains that they still deserve to be protected and respected.
We've got international crocodile rescue where we're going around the world looking after crocodiles, trying to save people, save crocs, and we have to put them under stress to actually capture them and remove them. He loves her. She loves him. And if I can impress on you that they are individuals and we treat them as individuals, as a loving partner, as a loving couple, then my job is done.
Yes, they are terrifying apex predators, but they are an essential part of the Australian ecosystem. I left the Crocoseum in absolute awe of these creatures and wanting to shed a tear for the life's work of Steve Irwin to protect them. And to wrap up our day at the Australia Zoo, we wandered through the area around the Crocoseum. This particular part of the park is very scenic and has some lovely landscaping that incorporates native plants of Australia. I absolutely loved walking through here. We ended the day at a very special exhibit, the Tortoise exhibit. This habitat was rumored to be one of Steve Irwin's favorites because up until 2006, it was the home of Harriet the tortoise. I'm going to blow your mind right now. But did you know Steve Irwin cared for a tortoise that Charles Darwin originally took from the Galapagos Islands? Yes, Steve Irwin had a 175-year-old tortoise named Harriet. She was an absolute zoo icon known for being incredibly gentle and sweet. She passed away just a few months before Steve did. The zoo now has another tortoise and absolutely still embodies the spirit of Steve Irwin. And that's how I lived out my childhood dream of going to the Australia Zoo. It was a wild and surreal experience to be somewhere I grew up watching on TV. I'm happy to say that Steve Irwin inspired an entire generation of wildlife lovers. I have been all over the world at this point, and honestly, this really was one of my favorite travel days ever. I highly recommend visiting the Australia Zoo if you can. You'll be saying crikey in no time. Be sure to like and subscribe to the Fruit Salad Social YouTube channel for more Australia and travel content. Check out the Real Life Bluey Locations vlog if you're on a real Australia kick. I'll see you next time!